Two Dissidents boys here, Keaton and Russell, join the show. What's up, boys?
What's going on, Pasta? Great to see you again. I'd like to begin the show by just saying that I happen to be Jewish. I think it's good for me to start out by saying I happen to be Jewish. I also happen to hate myself, but I'm not a self-hating Jew in the sense that
Jesus Christ was like that.
Often described. Yeah, he was a self-hater too.
Yeah, he's a
Dobular, are you Jewish too?
I am. Unlike Keaton, I'm not a day walker. I'm a full blood.
Oh, Keaton didn't say he's a day walker.
Wait, he's a day. Here's what we call a day walker around the synagogue.
I mean, I'm actually technically a liar because I'm Jewish on my father's side.
Yeah, he's not even Jewish.
Is it a real?
I consider myself culturally Jewish.
Yeah, I've always found that to be reflective of a kind of, very worldly cynicism of Jews. Like, well, who knows who stood there? You know, unless it comes out of the woman. How do you know?
Well, I thought you were like, so he's like George Santo. He's Jewish, not like completely like
That's
Russell.
Old Russ Beneath joke.
Russell's Jewish, but
I would say I'm Jewy,
what is
not
Sammy Davis
Jewish.
Jr.
I'm
then?
Jewy.
What is
Very
Whoopi
Jewy.
Goldberg then?
What is Sammy Davis Jr.?
He converted.
Yeah.
Keaton is either a self-hating Jew or he's a Jew-loving Maltese.
Keaton, give us your definition of self-hating Jew, because I was told before, because I grew up in Boca Raton. I moved from New York to Boca Raton. Like I said, I had a lot of Zionist fathers, my friends' fathers who I really looked up to them. They were mentors of sorts. I heard the story of the 1940s wars, all of them, over brisket and gefilte fish in Boca Raton many years ago. So when RFK was saying a lot of those things, they were very common to me. They were old lies. But what would you describe? Because I've heard that Max Blumenthal, they would say, oh, he's a self-hating Jew. Same thing with Norman Finkelstein. What is your definition, Keaton, of a self-hating Jew?
Well, I mean, they would describe a self-hating Jew as a Jew with a friendly, self-deprecating sense of humor. That's how they would say it. But they also, they would also call me a self-hating Jew because I'm not a Zionist, because I believe in this context of this conversation of what is very controversial in Zionist circles, which is recognizing the humanity of Palestinian people. You guys were talking earlier about how Donald Trump really touched his third rail when he called Hezbollah smart. Well, the reason that was such a third rail, he called Hezbollah smart and he called the Netanyahu government stupid. You can't say that Arabs are smart and Jews are stupid, because Zionism is predicated on the idea that Jews are people and Arabs are animals. And so when Donald Trump says Hezbollah is smart and Israel is dumb, well, that just blows up the whole premise for the Israeli state to begin with, broadly speaking. More specifically, obviously, we are in the midst of a genocide right now, and that is also predicated upon the idea that Jews are people and Arabs aren't.
Russell, listen. This is why I brought the boys on. I couldn't. I couldn't describe my feelings to say it properly when we went through that whole thing.
But
and these guys, and this is why I'm big fans of their show.
Basically, they're like America, because I remember when we went to Iraq. I don't remember if I said this out loud, but I know I felt like this, and lots of people did, especially because 9/11 happened while I was there. I hope we kill 5 to 8 of them for every one of us that died.
Yeah.
And I don't give a. And then remember we go in Iraq. We took some weird detour. Everybody, I was like, cool, makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Then stuff started getting real weird. We had a gay pyramid prison, and my buddies would go, that just sounds like fraternity hazing, and we all turned into. And I remember the admiration for how tough Israelis are about this kind of stuff. I remember friends of mine saying, we should be barbaric. That's a quote. I'm quoting a good friend of mine. And everybody was down with it. And then I dated an Israeli girl for 10 years. And what I learned was, they're like, oh, you think we're not going to do exactly? First of all, Americans are like pussy Canadians to them. Mm-hmm. They look at us the way we look at Canadians, Israelis. Secondly, they're our crimey for all the stuff we do. So that means they're going to take extra helpings of crimes, and they're entitled to it. And by the way, I can't even say, honestly, if I lived near Gaza and I was the same age as whoever, I might have a rave outside a concentration camp. I'm not even judging. That's why I'm not like, oh, good, get him or whatever. I just feel bad. Like, I guess Hitler lives inside all of us.
Mm. Russell, what are your thoughts on that whole situation? What Keaton just described? Because there is a lot of evidence to back that up. That a lot of the Israelis look at us the way we look at Canadians. When you just see, what was his Natali Bennett, the ex prime minister, going, "Why are you talking to me about my enemy?" It's like, holy shit!
Right.
Like, did he just say that out loud? The defense minister called them human animals. Please, Russell.
Well, we find ourselves in the unlikely position of being the Jew whisperers on this show. So I will. I can tell you from my own experience, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance in the Jewish community around Israel and Zionism. It's very interesting to see the cracks showing because when I was growing up, there was absolutely no dissent, at least no visible dissent.
You're right.
Certainly not from Jews. I mean, there was they sang from one hymnal, and I was talking about this on the show yesterday. When you get sent to Hebrew school is Hebrew and Zionism. That's it. It is Zionist indoctrination camp, and there is really no room for variation in opinion. What you're seeing now, a lot of Jews don't want any part of this. There is clearly a inherent contradiction in a people who have suffered horrible racism being in the position of perpetrating it. And that is a very painful thing for them to admit. And I think particularly for people who are Israeli, in regards to what you're talking about, Philip Roth wrote about this a lot. Yeah, Israelis look at American Jews like us, like we have a shtetl mentality, like we're ghettoized, like we never left the ghettos of Europe in our mind, whereas they went out and very Sam Peckinpah, through violence they found their manhood. They reclaimed their manhood from the Gentile by taking this land. That's a big part of their core mythology and self-image. And it's very difficult for them to acknowledge because, look, you're an Israeli. Once you start going down the road of untangling the history of that region, you're forced to come to the conclusion that you've perpetrated an enormous crime, and the country itself. I mean, I don't want to get a strike on Jimmy's tab here, but the country itself is of questionable legitimacy. I'll put it that way.
Well, wait, hold on. Because hey, the Bible. I don't want to throw stones at the Israeli reason for being because I don't know if you know, America. We just took their story to justify making America. We took the Old Testament somehow and made that mean to slaughter all the Indians and take the whole thing. God said we should. Yeah. So it's like, and it is a crazy idea that God said you could just go do whatever, but at least they're using their own book to do it.
I mean, if you actually read the Bible, and I read the Bible so that I could debate Bible people, which I still do on occasion. I've mellowed a little bit. I don't seek them out like I used to. But yeah, basically, God tells the Jews to go commit a genocide against 7 nations in the Bible. He says, well, this land is yours. The only problem is there are people still living on it. So you're going to have to go and take it. So a lot of this is in there in that core mythology. But I've had people try to argue to me, well, but when a country conquers another country, well, that's it. You don't, that's the way it is. You don't get to just reclaim the country. Okay, even if you're going to take that, this is the way of the world logic, there's a very big difference between America conquering parts of Mexico and making those parts of America and making the people who live there American, and conquering a territory and not being able to incorporate those people into your country.
Right.
Because the basic premise of the country is inherently racist. You cannot have a Jewish state in a majority Arab region if you're going to give the full rights of citizenship to the conquered population. This is why we have what we have in Israel. They conquered the territory, but by the basic premise of their state, they were not able to incorporate the people who were already there into the country. If they had, Israel would be an Arab state.
Wow.
Right. You, man,
These
you might
guys are
grow up
good.
like
I'm
10
gonna
years
cut it
over
off now.
Israeli Jew. I mean, grew up in America.